Yeah,
they're just like,
we need like action and goals and
what's
blood.
the purpose of that guy?
Is he trying to kill that guy? No, they're just kind of living their life.
Yeah,
We're like, what?
I thought they were
Yeah.
gonna do something.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Anime Summit podcast. Thank you for coming back week by week to listen to all of us here at Anime Summit tell you why idol shows are terrible. Anyway, I'm your favorite podcast host, Sam, the Turkey Tom, the CD-ROM, the Big Mom. And with me, I have Danny Hootenanny.
Hine, 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 suki, suki, daisuki.
Dude, you need to show me that scene. I laughed so hard. And
Is that an
no
idol
tear.
song?
No,
No. It's a scene from Young Wishy Pedal.
Oh, okay.
I'll link it to you.
Danny's favorite anime. And no tier Nick, no drop club Nick.
Just imagine me singing the Perfect Blue Idol song right now.
Imagine Nick serenading you on this podcast right now. Shout out. Okay, real talk though. Tweet at Anime Summit at Blind Freeman if you want Nick to make ASMR videos for our extra YouTube
I still
channel.
say we should have a full episode where everybody talks in ASMR
Just hello.
for an hour.
I'll put all of Nick's audio to the
You gotta
left.
take your little windsock off the mic so you can tap your fingernails on it.
All in me and Danny on the right. So it's like we're talking on one side of you on the table and Nick's on the other
Oh yeah,
side
I
of you
need
on
that
the
surround
table.
sound.
Surround sound. Yeah, if you just put on stereo, you know. Anyway,
Dibs on right ear.
dibs on the right ear. Me, Nick, and Danny are going to talk about what makes a good first episode. What's in a first episode? What makes you keep going? Because we've done a topic before on the 3-episode rule, right? But you technically can't do the 3-episode rule if you can't even get past the first episode. Let's be
One
serious.
episode rule.
1-episode rule. We're gonna one up that.
Pretty
Talk
soon we'll
about
just
the-
have the cover art rule.
The cover rule, yeah.
Actually, we kind of
It-
did an episode like that.
Did we? We kind of did actually.
Sort of.
I think. But anyway, 1 episode. What makes the good? When you start an anime, what are you looking for? Or not even just what you're looking for, but as you're watching it, what is making you click next episode or hit next episode or back in the day it would be
What makes you not want to kill yourself
when you're
as you
watching
watch
the
the
anime.
episode?
Yeah.
Some
So-
shows just make me want to not watch.
And then at the end of all this, when you're done listening to us rant about it, why don't you tell us what you guys think is some good first episodes if we don't mention any of them in this episode at all. That being said, if you go to links.animesummit.net, you can find all our links right there. And you can go on Amazon, look for Anime Summit t-shirts, buy a t-shirt, please. Please, because I don't know if I'm going to make rent this week. Just kidding.
We have been getting people to buy them. Some people are buying them.
Yeah, I actually have some gifts set aside for them. I just got to talk to Danny about that later because she's got some of their info. But anyway, gifts are going out. If you bought a t-shirt and you sent Danny or me a selfie, gifts are going out in the next week here. So there you go. Please do that. And just for future reference, okay, I think Quokka mentioned it a couple episodes ago when he was on the Elite episode. But I'm going to mention it now for real, just so you guys are aware. Right about here, you're probably going to hear me again solo in an ad talking about some product or some other podcast or whatever it is. Right about here. And then you're going to hear it.
Berries.
And then we're going to come back. And then that's how it's going to be. Because we have signed up for a partnership with Anchor, who is our current podcast host. So shout out to Anchor. So just so you guys are aware of that, just a heads up, okay? Anyway, let's move on to Waifu and Husbando and the main topic. Now, for Waifu and Husbando, we chose characters from anime that we thought had really good first episodes. So for waifu, we picked Kurumu Ibisuzawa from School Live, aka Shovel Girl. Shout out to Shovel Girl, she's a real MVP. On husbando, we chose Yusuke Urameshi from Yu Yu Hakusho. Also, because I don't think we've done Yusuke Urameshi from Yu Yu Hakusho as husbando.
We might have, but either way, he deserves a second shot.
Because we didn't really start doing husbando until Danny was on.
Because it is necessary.
And I've been saying that we should because I'm gay. Anyway.
And husbandos are just as important as waifus.
Husbandos are...
Don't...
fucking
up,
Nick in
Nick.
the...
Shut
Fucking
up,
Nick in the corner
Which one
gets really
sells
high.
more figures? Actually, that's a good question.
Every time Nick
Well, we should do a poll. We should do
just
a
gets
poll.
higher. Your voice just gets higher every time. Anyway. So there's your waifu and husbando. Shout out to Yusuke Urameshi and Kurumu Ibisuzawa. Let's get on to it. What makes a good first episode, you guys? Here's the thing.
Big titties.
Initial thoughts, big titties.
That's my thought. I mean, what do you guys think? No, I'm just kidding.
I thought it'd be a good idea for us to go in the Nick NDS order, Nick, Danny, Sam order, and talk about just real quickly.
I can't talk about it. I got an NDS right now.
You got an NDS right now.
Can't talk about my job.
Yeah, non-disclosure SAM agreement.
SAM agreement.
Just like a brief overview of what you kind of look for.
Oh shit, I'm starting, aren't I? Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm not used to this. So what I like in a first episode, I just want like a good hook, something to bring me in, a decent premise, good characters, introduction. This is just all really broad stuff. Like I want it to be something that is unforgettable, that something that like that sticks in my mind, for more than a day, if that makes sense. So especially if you're watching seasonal shows nowadays, everyone watches the first episode and you're like, well, I forgot about that one, blah, 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 blah. And then, you watch like Promised Neverland, for example, and you're like, oh shit, like that reels you in, that hooks you in. I really want something to hook me in. And then,
Right.
upon further examination, obviously like great directing and sound design and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I really just want like a good hook and characters that are believable.
Believable. What about you, Danny?
I mean, it's pretty much kind of what Nick said too. What I look in a first episode definitely are, the characters. Are they likable? The protagonists really. What are their goals? Because usually that's what in a first episode, you get to see what they want to achieve throughout the whole entire episode.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't mention that one.
Yeah. So like in shonens, they show you they show you what their dream is and stuff.
I want to be the best hero. I want to be Hokage.
Yeah. I want to be Hokage. Blah blah blah. All that kind of stuff.
I want to yell real loud because I'm the guy from Black Clover.
I want to yell real loud.
Although I heard that show got a lot better about 30 episodes in. So
That's what I hear too.
30 episode test.
The first episode would definitely needs to keep my attention. If the first episode definitely drags a little bit,
Which it does happen.
yeah, but
Like
they kind of do have like a good ending. So that'll probably get me like kind of clickbaiting into the second episode. And like the oh shit moment, really. Camera angles are definitely for me is important. I feel
Camry angles.
I said camera angles.
I know.
The cinematography is important.
James Camry angles. I'm never letting you live that down, Danny.
The James
Whatever.
Camry.
We're gonna have a whole bunch of memes.
We'll just have a picture of a Camry on a shirt.
A Camry.
Yeah, James Camry. Slaps
do-
roof of Camry. This bad boy's got great cinematography.
Oh my god, can you make that into a shirt?
Probably, yeah. Nick can just make the meme and send me the image, and I'll just.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, what do you think, Sam? What is your preferences in the first episode?
I like something that's important to me is, and obviously like even slice of life shows have it, okay, is the call to arms or the call to purpose. So like after you introduce the characters, whether it's 1 or 3 or however many,
I'm going to be the very best.
like I want to, and obviously I want to love the characters when you introduce them, right? Like what sets them apart, why are they the main character? That has to grab me, obviously. I think that has to grab anyone, really. But what's really important to me is the call to arms or call to purpose, because that's what I'm interested in. What is the goal, right?
Yeah,
And it
you
can be
guys said it
very,
better than I did.
yeah, like My Hero Academia or like shonens like that, like what Danny mentioned. They're very broad because they're gonna be like 100+ episodes, so their call to arms are very broad. Like I want to be the best hero. I want to be the best of this. Whatever. I want to be the king of pirates.
be the very best, like no one ever was.
Yeah, exactly.
But like in other shows that are like 26 episodes or 12 episodes, you know, I want to know plain and simple what that call to arms is and why you're doing it. And if I'm interested in that topic or in that kind of, you know, genre or vein of what you're doing or what you need to do, then that's going to make me 100% click the next episode, even if the animation is terrible sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to think of an example with bad animation but a good first episode. What shows have bad animation? I guess like original Berserk kind of had shoddy animation, but
yeah,
sort of.
yeah, it kind of did.
They had great backgrounds, but I don't know.
Ninku has bad animation, but that didn't really have a great first episode though. That was it was okay. That's a shonen also, so.
One thing that I missed that Danny said was like the pacing of it. I think that's actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that's
Yeah.
my number one. Is like, how is it paced? So that includes like the directing, the dialogue, and all of that. If it's too slow, or if it's too fast, like Occultic 9, as a brief example. You guys remember that one? We
Yeah, that
it's
was
like they're
way too
talking a
slow.
mile a minute. No, that was fast. Occultic 9. They were talking
really?
so fast, and well, Tatami Galaxy for Danny, like she
Oh my god.
fucking hated it because they were talking so fast.
That actually that's another example for going too fast is a Kill la Kill. The
No,
sub,
Danny, you're wrong.
No, listen. I still like it.
That's one of the best first episodes.
Listen, no. But listen, I couldn't watch Kill la Kill subbed because of how quickly the dialogue was. And once
You don't need dialogue in Kill la Kill.
No, for me, I needed dialogue, and that's why I don't really like Tatami Galaxy, because they were just like talking so fast, and I could not keep up.
But
and
it's great if you do keep up.
But I couldn't.
That's the point.
But I couldn't.
That's fine. Yeah, so that's personal preference. Anyway,
But yeah, no. Once Kill la Kill got its dub, that's when I started to enjoy it, because
great dub, by the way.
I can understand it.
Yeah, this is a decent dub. Kill la Kill's got a really good call to arms. Like
They
Called
do.
the Scissors.
it's pretty straightforward. It gives you some lore with the scissors, and then it gives you the main character who's out for blood, because she knows that those scissors and what happened to her dad have some kind of stupid connection with the school. So she goes right up to the school and just goes, "Fuck with me."
Hanoji
then
Academy.
And that's
Who killed
just
my
badass.
father?
Because Satsuki is like on top of this, fucking.
Dude, yeah, Satsuki's character introduction is perfect. She's like, she has like the boot heel click, and she does
Yep.
that thing every time. It's just fucking great. She's like,
And,
pigs
like-
in human clothing, and she's like looking down on everybody.
I took
Fucking
that as
awesome.
I took that as a David versus Goliath moment. Like there
For
she
sure.
is on top of this giant of a fucking school building that has a balcony just for Satsuki, and Satsuki's the pilot, and she goes right up to the front door and goes, "I'm gonna fucking come in there and wreck all of you because I want to know the answers to this thing that has haunted me and traumatized me and blah.
Yeah,
blah,
then you
blah,
got the
know,
giant
whatever.
big block letters coming, like
Oh,
slamming
yeah.
down is like the introduction. You got
So good.
Gamagori like jumping out a window, laughing every floor. He's like, you can. There's a student like running down the stairs, and Gamagori's like, as he's like falling down his window.
yeah.
That's my favorite part of that episode. So fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
god,
I love
have you
that.
that might be
got-
my favorite first episode in all of anime. If I'm thinking about it.
You heard it here first. What'd you say, Danny?
I was gonna say, have you guys seen a Wes Anderson film? Any of his films?
Yeah, I saw the one with the
Yeah.
house. What's that one called?
Oh, The Grand Budapest.
No, the Owen Wilson one. I think he's in all of those movies.
I'm not sure which one
uh,
you're referring to.
It's like some family name. Like the title of it is a name. Anyway,
I'll have to look up. But anyway,
it's the one where
Um,
one of the guys tries to kill himself. Spoilers.
oh, okay.
He puts a tent in the house.
But Kill la Kill just reminds me of like a Wes Anderson film. It's just so out there, and like it's not afraid to overstep boundaries, really.
It
Right.
doesn't really remind me of Wes Anderson, but I think I know what you
Well,
mean. But
the shot by shot, from frame by frame, and like how it's drawn in a way, and the
Doesn't-
colors that are chosen.
doesn't he just make everything symmetrical, like right in the middle of the screen? Which is fine. I think it looks cool, but
I think so, but
Kill la Kill is just like wacky. They're like spoofing on other anime.
Well, I mean, I'm not necessarily talking about like the spoofing and making fun. I'm strictly talking about how the camera angles were and the cinematography in it. I'm just gonna say cinematography.
Well, yeah, when she's walking up to Enoji Academy and it's like right in the dead center,
Yes,
that reminds me of it.
Yes, definitely.
But everything else reminds me of like Looney Tunes.
Looney
A little
Tunes.
bit.
The more like Looney Tunes, the better. Thank you very much.
I also just have to say in that first episode when you first meet Ryuko, she right off the bat for me, she's just like a total badass because she's eating a lemon, and lemons are so fucking sour.
Dude, I was
So
reading tea tips, and it said to make your black tea less acidic, put a lemon in it. That doesn't make sense.
add more acidic to.
It's like two negatives cancel out or something. I don't know. Anyway,
So what you think though is a good example of. So Danny, I mean, clearly, with Ryuko, was a good example of a character being the hook for her in a first episode. Another example I can think of, and I don't want to like just like list examples the whole entire show, but I think like for the character being the hook, they got to be some kind of. See, that's weird, man. Maybe that's why I don't like idol shows. Because idol shows,
because
they have
it's
to
an
introduce,
ensemble
like-
cast.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe I'm not into that. Like, because I like Zombieland Saga, right? But there's only like 6 of them.
Well,
7 of
and
them,
it starts
you know,
out
like-
better because it really only introduces 2 characters in the first episode, even though you have everybody. But it's still the main girl and then what's his name, Momoru
The
Miyano,
producer.
the producer.
Yeah, the producer, and then
everyone
every
else is, like,
episode kind
new.
of Yeah, and then every episode kind of centers around a new girl every
Plus,
time. Right?
that show started fucking great because you got the typical anime girl running with the toast in her mouth.
All right,
She
yeah,
gets
I'm
hit by
going
a
to school
fucking
now,
truck,
and then
then
she
it just
gets hit
turns
by a
into
truck.
like a heavy metal intro, and it's like, yeah, I'm in.
I'm voting for Sakura because she got pushed in front of a bus.
Dude, she got pickle eyebrows too.
Pickle
Shit.
eyebrows. But like, yeah, no, she got Regina George. But like,
She definitely got Regina George.
but
I
like,
forgot she got hit by a bus.
So like the character is obviously the first thing you well, not the first thing you see every time.
It depends on the show.
But
Yeah,
Depends on
It
the
really
show.
depends on the show.
I think a lot of shows start with like the backgrounds or like the world.
Right. And
the
sometimes you got those shows that are like
cityscape.
sometimes you got those shows that are like back in the 1800s when cats meowed differently or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Fucking Smokey's ancestors were just like this. Meow. Meow.
I'm pretty sure Space Dandy had an episode like that. Anyway,
Meow. Dude, I like
no,
his best
no,
friend is-
there is. There is a Space Dandy episode like that. Oh my god, not a first episode. Off
I
topic.
gotta finish watching that show.
There's like Bizarro Space Dandy, and his Meowth guy is just like a robot, and he's like a depressed Space Dandy. He's like, I want to die. He keeps saying that for the whole episode. Fucking great
Caterpillar
show.
Cat.
That had a good first
But
episode. But anyway,
I think that's one of those shows where maybe that's just a Shinichiro, because that's a Shinichiro Watanabe show too, right?
well, he was like the main like creator, but I think they had guest directors in every episode.
Okay, because like
I know
his
they
shows,
had Masaki Yuasa directed one. Not Naoki Yamada.
oh really?
Saya Yamamoto directed an episode.
I feel like
of people
Watanabe's
did.
shows, all of his shows hook you with the characters right away. Like Spike Spiegel, Gene and Fu and Mugen. Like, I don't know. Like Samurai Champloo, a big thing for me with that was the characters. And like obviously it's centered around them three. That show is kind of episodic too. But so like I mean the characters have to drive that shit if it's episodic like that. But I mean like man, it was just wild. Mugen was like nobody else on the screen. He's fucking doing breakdance moves, kicking everyone's ass. And then Gene is like no one else on the screen because he's this really handsome guy with glasses.
Well, you got the
Oh, God,
you got the
he's so hot.
opposites. You got the polar opposite.
Yeah,
because
the polar
Mugen is
op-
like
yeah.
the sloppy guy who's like a wild man, and then Gene is all like refined and straight man.
Gene eats with a fork and knife, and Mugen eats with his hands. And then Fu is like in the middle of them two going.
Mugen
"God, you
eats with
guys."
his face. He doesn't even
He
use
eats with
his
his
hands.
face. But I feel like every Watanabe show, that's the characters.
I
It's
still need to
about the
watch Kids on a
characters.
Slope, but I assume it's
It's
similar.
It's about the characters, and that means he has to hook you with them, and he does a great job of doing so. Like, if we're still talking about like hooks and stuff, right?
Yeah, and I
But,
would also
like-
say the world, especially with Cowboy Bebop, like that's like a slightly different topic, but we'll get into that on a different one there. But we're talking
yeah,
about characters
definitely.
here, so but yeah, that was a
Right.
good example. Gave you insight into like who Spike was, like how he acted. He's flowing like water. He's stealing food. He's just kind of zoning out and being all zen and chill, complaining about bell peppers and beef. Jet,
And there's no beef in it.
Yeah,
Jet's yelling at him, driving the Bebop.
yeah.
Actually, the Bebop and the Swordfish are kind of characters themselves, sort of. I mean, they're inanimate objects, but
I mean,
It's kinda
they're
like
even
Firefly.
though they are inanimate objects, but they're really important with each character, especially the swordfish.
Yeah, it's like their extension. It's like an extension of them, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, obviously the characters being one of the first things you see. I
Well,
can't really think of. I'm
so,
trying to think of another anime that like
Well, Evangelion.
gets you with everything. Evangelion is definitely one of those. It gets you with everything because it's got all these
Yeah.
really great cinematography shots of
Every aspect of that episode.
what
There's
you're
a lot of
diving
cinnamon in that
into.
show. Well, actually,
so much cinnamon.
it's more like Tangamentography. Tangamentography. Tangentopography.
Tangentopography.
But like with Ava, so Digibro made a really good series of videos about
It's like the only
Ava's
Digibro
first
video I
episode.
like.
You'd like some other ones. I just have to force you to watch them with your eyes
Just to force you to-
forced open. Anyway, he made a great
God.
one on like 10 killer cuts in Ava episode 1. Everyone should check that out. But like he basically goes over like why all of these directing choices work and like how it introduces the characters and the setting and motivation and the world and all of that, and like the characters in Ava, I guess we're specifically talking about characters. Like there's one point where Shinji is framed in the phone booth. It's like, yeah, that's the main character right there. That's kind of directing, I guess. But you get the sense that like Shinji is the main character. He's the one who is trying to find his place, and trying to earn his father's love and respect and everything. And then he meets Misato, he meets Rei, and and Ritsuko. I can't say that right. So he meets those characters, and you get a good sense of who each of them is like throughout the episode. So based on directing too.
I just really love that first episode because, like, with all the really great shots in the beginning, it shows you the city. And
that one
like,
starts with a cityscape. That's where it starts.
Yeah, and then it shows you the geofront in the middle of the episode.
There's there's like cicadas and sirens blaring and
yeah, and then basically it's like by the end of that episode, it's like, okay, we're about to fuck all of that up that we just showed you. We're about to fuck all of that up right now.
God, that's a perfect first episode.
And it didn't show the fight, or like it showed some of it, and then all of a sudden.
Oh no, and then episode 2. Okay, this not episode 1, but episode 2 starts with him in a hospital, like staring at the unfamiliar ceiling.
Yeah. It makes you click the next. It makes you want to watch the next one.
And then the next one makes you want to watch the next one, but that's not the first episode. But yeah,
right.
God, that's such a fucking perfect show.
It's a really good first episode. Like aside from the show being,
but like
amazing.
you get a sense with. I don't know if it was episode 1 or 2 or 3. Which is the scene where Shinji and Masato are standing in front of the elevator. It opens and Gendo's just standing there, and then the door just closes. And nobody says anything.
That's 3.
Yeah, so that's early on in the show. But like there's scenes like that where you have Gendo with his obviously the Gendo pose with him clenching his fingers together and like smiling with his glasses, the fuzz or the static shining off his glasses and everything. And it's like that he's like a plotting type of character. So like instantly even if he doesn't tell you that. Nobody's like, "Oh, hey Gendo, did you you're the most plotting character there is," or whatever. You don't have that bullshit like a lot of other shows. So
shout out to the grind violence band Gendo Ikari. They named their band Gendo Ikari. It's dope. Anyway, I'm trying to think of another. You know what? I'm gonna say it, and Danny is gonna sip on haterade. But like, Attack on Titan had a really good first episode to kind of give you a whole package.
I'm actually not going to sip on some haterade because I can actually agree on that.
Yeah, the first episode was good.
Yeah,
no, it is. Like it that first
Are we still
episode,
on characters or are we on another topic?
Now I'm just kind of speaking. Sorry, now I'm just kind of speaking in general. Like it because obviously, because Evangelion to me, then the reason why I brought that up when I did was because it doesn't show you the Shinji right away. It starts off with these really amazing shots of what you're getting into and what environment you're going to be in.
Yeah, it like instantly world builds.
Yeah.
Dialogue.
That's what Attack on Titan does, and it shows the characters right away with that too. But like, it shows you that you are in these walls, and that's it. For now, anyway, until later. But like,
yeah, I think Attack on Titan is more of an example of like action and premise and like a cliffhanger, like and a hook too. Cause
right, and it's a shonen too. So I mean, but
yeah,
like,
the characters in Attack on Titan are fine. Like who they are though. That's the thing. Like who Eren and Mikasa.
Mikasa, yeah.
Misato, she crosses over from Evangelion.
Misato comes in with Ava Unit 1. And
she like swerves her car in there. Get in the car!
I just want to see Asuka and Ava Unit 2 ripping a bunch of Titans to shreds like she did with the production models.
Oh, shit, because the Avas are about the same size as a lot of the Titans.
I think they are. I'm going to look that up later.
Anyway. How tall are the walls? I think the Avas might even be bigger, to be honest.
The walls are super fucking huge.
I mean, if you think about it, Attack on Titan is basically the same show.
It's basically the same show, dude.
They spoilers. They pilot Titans, but anyway.
Yes.
I mean, come on, it's an old show. You should know by now.
Yeah, you should. Yeah,
it's meat mechas. # meat mecha.
But no, yeah, like Danny, I'm sorry, we kind of like rolled over what you were saying, but no, like, and the call to arms happens pretty like at the end with Eren, but like it's really cool because he's just like he just saw something super traumatic and gross and scary, and he's just like, I'm gonna fucking kill all of them, like I'm gonna do it. And then you just kind of like, well, I want to see that because like your world just got turned upside down, and I want to see you take revenge on all this shit. You know what I mean? Like you kind of his anger kind of hypes you up a little bit.
Well, and like the music and the directing by Tetsuo Araki, I think it's Hiroyuki Sawano music too. So it's like if you have Sawano and Tetsuo Araki in the same show, forget about it. I'm watching that.
I'm watching it.
Because like the
I'm
directing
watching
was
it.
great. Like a Titan just shows up in the wall, and you're like, "Oh shit!"
Right. Now, something I do want to mention too, though, not to like, is like, because I know someone's gonna say it like, "Oh, what about slice of life?" Right? Like, what are those? What are the call to arms? What are the characters like? Obviously, slice of lives are mostly
That-
driven by the characters, right?
Yeah,
So
and that's
Yeah, the
kind of
characters and the setting.
that's kind of a different formula, I mean,
Yeah, every genre has different ones.
the show that I'm about to mention right now is I wouldn't say it's a slice of life. It's more like a romance comedy, or in high school.
Or in High School Host Club.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that first episode alone. I love that first episode.
Because that's more of like a comedy.
Just thinking about, yeah, I mean, just thinking about it is really freaking hilarious.
How did that grab you?
Oh man. So in my notes, the first moment that you meet Haruhi, she's obviously, the scenery of that show is right off the bat, okay, this has to be like a very rich high-end private school. The scenery that they show of the school and the garden and everything, it's super super high end. And then when you see Haruhi, she's in these rags and like her hair's all messed up, she got these glasses on. So right off the bat, okay, this show is about this character. But I feel like the moment she opened the door to the music room and the roses just were so over the top, and you saw the host club, that's what really drew me in.
That's how you know it's a shoujo. Lots of roses. It represents the period.
But and the vase, I feel like the vase was really really important.
Oh yeah, they roped her into joining their club.
Yeah, they distinctly made sure that you knew what that vase was for until that exact moment.
Yeah, she breaks it, and then they force her to join the club as like
Yeah.
a member. And they find out. Do they find out right away that she's a girl, or is that episode 2?
It was that
It must be episode
episode,
1.
but the funny thing you said that the process of each member finding out that she's actually a girl, the light bulbs that that indicate that symbolism for each host club finding out that she's an actual girl because of the words that she says, or certain actions that she made. Kyoya right off the bat was the first one who knew that she was a girl from the very beginning. And obviously Tamaki was the last because he's a fucking idiot and he's oblivious to everything.
Yeah, and it does show like the distinct personalities of all the other male hosts in the show. I've seen the first like 8 episodes, I think, of the show. I still got to finish. But
you should watch all 26.
Yeah.
It's so
I think
good.
it was on Netflix at one point.
It still is.
Okay.
And watch
yeah,
the
I
dub.
gotta get around to it.
The dub
it does
is
have a good dub.
amazing.
Yeah, a lot of shows from that era had like shaky, bad dubs, but that one was definitely better.
Mm-hmm. Also, how
Funimation dub.
when they find out that she's not from a rich family and stuff, and she's their dog, like their service dog, and their errand, quote unquote errand gal. The students that are in the club, when they're in service of doing their club activities, how the demonstration of Haruhi just pouring the instant coffee and stuff, and all the girls are all like, oh, I don't know if I should drink this because I think my father might be mad at me.
Yeah, because everyone there is like exceedingly rich,
They're
and she's the only commoner.
Stinking rich, and they're completely oblivious on how middle class citizens are, and
Yeah.
that yeah.
So that's what I was trying to say was like, because that show is kind of a slice of life, isn't it? Or
No, it's a comedy. It's basically just a
I
comedy.
mean, it's typically a comedy. I'm sorry, we kind of like reverted from slice of life to
comedy,
comedy.
harem,
Okay.
romance, school, shoujo.
I was just trying to say because like, well, even comedy romances, right? Because like people like
Rom-com,
like they'll
as
say
they
like
say.
what's what's the call to arms here, or what's the purpose?
Well, she's not really on a hero's journey. There's no
Yeah,
call to
she's
arms.
not.
But
call to purpose. But like I think for slice of life shows like Nichijou,
that's a
or
comedy too.
or Dragon Maid, yeah, whatever, you know what I mean.
That's also a comedy.
But like it's
I think
kind of
all
like
slice of lives are also comedies.
they will be more.
Not all of them, but a lot
no,
of them.
no.
All of them have
Blue
a
Spring
little-
Ride
a little
isn't
bit in
a
them.
comedy.
A little bit in them.
Okay, anyway.
They have a
Enough
hint.
of Nick's broad generalizations. They're
Okay,
definitely
anyway,
false.
I think the call to purpose and most slice of life are pretty broad, or they're pretty vague, right? Like so, like with Dragon Maid, it's kind of just like,
Well,
I
that's
want
why
to be
they
a
don't.
maid now.
That's why they don't work in American, like Hollywood. They don't have slice of life because American audiences are too fucking stupid to understand it.
Right? Yeah,
We
they're
need-
just like,
We need like action and goals and
What's
blood.
the purpose of that guy?
Is he
Like,
trying to kill that guy? No, they're just kind of living their life.
yeah,
We're like, what?
I thought they were
Yeah.
gonna do something.
why
Well,
is that character such a bitch?
School
Yeah,
Life
it's
is
called
kind of
something.
a slice of life.
Oh, that's a slice of something.
That's a slice of something.
No spoilers. That's kind of that's more of like the twist opening episode. That
That's
one
a
has big
great
twist.
example of a twist.
Like it does have a twist.
hook.
Everybody knows at this point it has a twist. Like you see the cover art and you're like, okay, this isn't a regular cute girl show. But it handles it so well with the directing, and I guess we can kind of move into directing a little bit. But it's like with School Live, they're walking through the school and you're seeing it from Yuki's perspective at the start of the episode,
Yeah.
and then at the end
Yeah.
of the episode you see it from another character's perspective, and it's like, oh shit, this
Yeah.
Yuki's
Yeah,
fucking
that-
nuts.
Wait, why does it
I-
look like that now? Like,
I
what the hell?
mean-
That doesn't look right.
And there's
Well-
hints.
well-
There's hints for that in the early parts of the episode too. There's like little
Yeah, I
cracks
was
in
gonna
it.
say, like in Yuki's perspective, they show subtle hints of what's really going on. You
And
know,
we won't spoil exactly what it is, but I mean, look at the cover
Yeah.
art. Look at the
So-
cover art.
Also,
Cover.
also side note, when I rewatched that first episode, Mikun, she was reading like an inspired Stephen King book.
Yeah, they like
the-
to
in the
drop
club.
hints like there.
Yeah.
Or they'll put like a little quote or a title or a picture of something. That's always nice little Easter eggs to find. Yeah, what were we talking about? Slice of life, comedy, directing. Are we trying to give like good examples of all of the different genres here, or how do we want to go from here?
I was just moving on. Yeah, I kind of just moved on to slice of life because I was thinking people are gonna be like, oh, well, what's the hook in slice of life? Or how do
Oh yeah, so
how do
slice
you
of
get
life.
people to
Basically,
like in
it's-
new game there's a purpose,
Yeah,
right?
new
Like,
game. It's all about the characters and like the animation and the character designs. I think.
I figured Nick would be able to explain it better than I would, but yeah.
Yeah, like basically slice of life. It's 100% characters, like because there's
Yeah.
no real premise. Like they're making a video game. Who gives a shit? Like it's not that interesting. But like but the way they do it and the funny like antics of all the cast makes it enjoyable. Like with Nenechi and Alba and then the you have like the whole office has their own little personalities. And you see that. I don't know in like the new game first episode. I don't remember that one vividly, but I know like quickly in the show I recognized that it was going to be good. So, yeah. Were you gonna talk more about new game or?
Oh no, I was just saying you could explain slice of life better than me. Like what's the hook with those compared to what we've already talked about before this? Because before that we were just going like, oh, and then the character got his mom got killed, and that's why he's gonna do this.
Yeah,
and
there's-
whatever, you know what I mean.
It's not like the premise. A lot of other shows are built on their premise, like I'll Know Zero
Right.
or any action show really, any show with like war. Gate's an example, which I think is like a bad example of like a good first episode, because there's a lot of reasons why it's just I don't really love that show, but it does have a cool premise where you have like the there's like a gate to another world opens up, and it's like this fantasy land, and then Japan rolls in there with tanks and blows the shit out of them. So it's like modern military versus fantasy magic, and that's like the cool little hook to get you in. But
that was one where that was purely premise that got me.
Yeah.
Hooked.
But as for slice of life, yeah, it's all the characters. It's like it's just kind of like the intangibles. You got, the sound of music, and you have like, so another one, Non Biori, starts out really slow, and it gets you sucked into the pastoral little nature landscape. Whereas New Game is a lot, I would say a lot like cuter, but Non Biori just has like these little pockets of funny moments mixed with like their beautiful backgrounds.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, that one's more of an Ayashike, I would say, like a healing show. New Game's a little bit more of a comedy slice of life.
Now, let me ask you this. And I can't really think of any examples. And maybe you can help me, because you've seen 10 times more than me and Danny have. But, like, there's a question on the sheet here that says, how is the exposition handled? I'm kind of wondering, like, was there a show out there where the first episode can really take the time to be doing that? Because I think with the first episode, the real goal is to hook us with all the stuff we just talked about. Because if you have too much exposition, that's right away is going to make me not want to watch it.
Well,
like,
yeah, but it doesn't have to be dialogue, though. So, like, I know a lot of people complain about heavy object exposition where they just fucking talked and, like, directly stated what it was, and it was just really
heavy
bad.
object, yeah.
That had, like, a really shitty first episode, but it somehow managed to be, like, a kind of a guilty pleasure show. Yeah, like, exposition, it's all, I think it's, you can have exposition with directing, like Evangelion does that. They don't have a lot of like, oh, here's the plot, blah blah blah. It's.
Oh, I guess yeah. Okay, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's like a show don't tell kind of thing. You can do that with
any good show will
without-
have that. Yeah, like and like any of the thrillers too are good examples. Like Steins Gate. Steins Gate's a perfect example because they don't reveal the mystery right away. They're not like telling you, oh, here's the cool powers of a world, and we have time travel, but also here's this and that. They don't do it like that. It's kind of like you're finding out along with Okabe and what's her name? Tutoru girl. Anyway, but yeah, so like with exposition, you just got to be careful not to have too much characters sitting around in front of a blank wall talking. Like,
right.
Yeah.
I really think I don't like exposition that relies purely on characters, though. Unless it's like, I don't know, like, or I don't like shows that introduce too many characters at one time. And like if you're gonna do that, like obviously, I said earlier, like, oh, I don't like idol shows, right? But like, I really like the way Nadesco does it, because Nadesco has a lot of characters. Like, and actually Evangelion 2 has a lot of characters. There's a lot of characters that operate.
But they kind of slow drip them in there. You really only see like 4 named characters in the first episode.
Right. That's kind of how that. Well, see, and that's the weird thing about Nadesco, because it shows them recruiting everybody. Right. You don't necessarily know how often they're going to show some of these characters that they're going around recruiting for the ship. But then when it it does a good job of not hyper-focusing, but focusing just enough on the characters you're going to see a lot. Like Akito and Eureka and the Admiral and whatever. And it's just like, that to me is also a good first episode, because it throws in comedy and drama, like, in there right away. But the drama's not too, like, harrowing, so it's just kind of like, okay, I can tell this is going to be tense later on, right? But I think that's a good example. Like, what you just said is probably the perfect term or analogy for it, is dripping them in. Because I feel like in a first episode, if you do that, then it's just kind of like Like with shonen, it doesn't matter because you can introduce a shit ton of characters in the first episode. And
Well, I
you'll
think
find out who
shonen
they are
usually does.
later.
They do the same thing. Is like they have a handful at first, and then every once in a while you'll get new characters. Just kind of
Sports
add to the
anime.
roster.
Sports anime does that.
Oh yeah, so sports is another one with like it has to have an ensemble cast because there's like a team,
Yeah.
There's
so
like
you
teams,
need your
yeah.
X
Yeah.
number of players.
Depending on the sport or competition or whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for example, Yawamushi Pedal.
Everybody take a drink.
Everyone take a shot. I actually take 2 because I said Nadesco.
The first episode for Yawamushi Pedal, perfect example. The very beginning of that, after the opening, they give you like a brief ensemble of what bicycle racing is, and they're showing you the team, and then it quickly goes right into your main protagonist, Onoda. He's super important in this first episode because he's an otaku who rides a mommy bike to Akiba, and he's a freshman in this high school, and you realize that he's trying to what's the word? What happens when a club disbands? Recruiting. There we go. I just answered my own question.
I was just gonna say he's trying to fuck.
You trying to fuck?
Oh my gosh.
You want to have a sec?
No. No, but he's super important in this first episode, and not only that, the other character that you mainly see in the first episode is Imaizumi, whom he's this stuck-up, snobby, know-it-all, wants to be the best racer. And he sees Onoda and his mommy bike, and he's like, this guy can't like ride uphill with just this mommy bike. Like, this is the steepest slope ever. That's quickly impossible. So, and then also as the episode develops, you see the other side characters that are a part of the bicycle racing club. Miki's another one. She's going to be the manager. And then you, close to maybe like 25 minutes in, you get to see the third years of the club, and they do like a little brief talk. So, but that main episode is strictly about Onoda riding his mommy bike to Akibahara. I said that wrong.
Akihabara.
Akihabara, yes. Because from where their location is, it's about like 27 miles. And that's like an hour drive by car. And everyone is just... they just don't believe him that he rides a bike. Especially, a little mommy bike to Akiba. So...
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of that episode, Imaizumi challenges him to race him up the school's hill with his bike.
It's like Initial D, kind of. Sounds like Initial D.
Yeah, no, it's so super dramatic.
Yeah, I was
and
thinking
love
of
it.
Initial D. Initial D's first, like their animation was so fucking bad, but like
Yeah.
it had a good first episode still. Like it hooked. I made Mac watch the first episode last year, and he got sucked in right away and watched like 10 in a row.
I'm super surprised that Mac was not up on Initial D so quickly, because
Yeah, well, there's a
he's
lot of
into
things.
cars.
Mac hasn't watched Planet Test yet. That's baffling.
I mean, I still
That would
haven't
be, like,
watched
his
it
favorite
either.
show.
So
Shout out to Mac.
But yeah.
So let me ask you this now, because you said at the end of that episode there was a challenge, and then it's like, oh shit,
that's clickbait. That like wants you.
cliffhanger, yeah.
Yeah, that's like a major cliffhanger. Oh, what's gonna happen with this race?
Now-
Is Onoda gonna win, or is he gonna make a fool of himself? Yeah.
Now let me ask you this, because I feel like a lot of anime lately has to have a cliffhanger. when really it probably doesn't, because there's a lot of anime from back in the day that didn't have them, and I kept watching them, or we kept watching them. Like, is that really important now? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just the evolution of storytelling. But
yeah,
like,
a little bit. Well, there's so many shows nowadays. You need to hook people in.
that's a good point. There's so many shows, which
I
Nick
mean-
mentions often. He always says like, "Dude, there's always like
There's like 50 a season. It's fucking stupid.
50 a season." Yeah, like back in the day, there was only like 10 or 20.
Well,
Like,
well,
There's less than that. Some seasons had literally 2 shows. Like
yeah,
in
me
the
and
in the
Danny
early
went back all the
mid-90s.
way to like the 80s.
Go look at summer
7.
season for like anything before the year 2000. It's like 3 shows.
It's like 3 or 5 shows. Yeah.
Sam,
Yeah.
Anyway.
do you kind of have like an example of a first episode that doesn't really have that quote unquote cliffhanger?
Like any slice of life, really.
Any
or any
slice of life.
comedy.
Actually, Yu Yu Hakusho didn't. Rurouni Kenshin didn't. Rurouni Kenshin and Yu Yu Hakusho just gave you the characters, and it was like,
Yu Yu Hakusho did it differently. They had like all of their intrigue like right away, and it's like, holy shit, why am I crying in
Yeah.
episode 1?
and actually like yeah, and actually in the Watanabe shows we mentioned earlier, like Cowboy Up and well, I guess
No, they
Samurai
have like
Champloo,
they
you
have
could
like contained
technically-
episode or contained stories in the first episode.
Yeah, I guess technically Samurai Champloo, you could say.
Well,
there
with
was
them, they're
kind
like,
of a
we're going on the
cliffhanger.
journey. Yeah, so, but like,
He's
with-
like flips the coin, but he like does it too hard so it doesn't come down.
yeah,
And then he's just like, how hard did you flip the coin? And then Gina's like, he doesn't know the meaning of restraint. And Mugen's just like, kiss my ass. Like, that's-
but like with Cowboy
like,
Bebop,
those-
that's like a self-contained story. To
Oh,
be fair, that's
true.
a little
Yeah,
more,
yeah.
that's a little more
Yeah.
episodic
Right.
show, but
Yeah.
so I guess really like what we're talking about almost differs from show to show or genre to genre.
yeah, if
even.
we're talking like something with
it's
a
almost
story,
kind of,
let's say it
kinda
has
hard
like
to talk
one.
about.
Let's say it has one story arc. If it has one story arc, it doesn't
Mhm.
need a cliffhanger necessarily.
it doesn't, because you know what you're watching. You know what you're.
As long as everything
You
else
know
is
what you're
good,
getting into.
You know, yeah,
Yeah.
it just has to be intriguing.
I think ReZero, the only reason I quit or I kept clicking the next one is because every fucking episode had a cliffhanger that was super crazy. Like, but the first episode of that show is actually like not that hype. Like,
Well, yeah, it's weird. For me, the show was like meat. We're not talking about the whole show, but it had
You
like
have a whole episode dedicated
I know.
to that.
yeah,
it had 2 great episodes, and then the rest of the show was like, meh. That's my opinion, but
Well, that's kind of like
I don't particularly
SAO.
remember the first one. I'm trying to something without a cliff. Like Gurren Lagann doesn't really have a cliffhanger. It's really straightforward.
Gurren Lagann. That's one.
They
Gurren Lagann's one of
start
the ones
from underground and they burrow their way to the surface and in the sky. And
Into the
because
sky.
they capture the Simone captures the not captures, but he finds the Gurren Lagann like
Kill
drill
la Kill
bit.
and Gurren Lagann are like they let the call to arms or call to purpose do all the talking. I think with those,
They
like
do all the
there's no-
talking.
There's no cliffhanger. Yeah, it's an expression. Yeah,
Yeah.
you cinematographer.
Shut up.
Anyway, but like you know, like that alone, like their purpose alone, is like it gets you to watch the rest of it. I like that better than a cliffhanger, in my opinion. For me personally, like I mentioned
I
at the
don't
beginning
know.
of this episode.
like
But I
all
mean,
of them.
it's almost. But like I said, like
I
I,
like
was saying,
good
though,
shit.
it's almost kind of hard to talk about because it differs from show to show, right? Depending on the pacing or how they're telling the story, is really what matters the most. Because like if you want to tell your story a certain way, that's how you're gonna shape your first episode, right? So it's kind of like, what am I watching? You don't know.
faux
I don't know.
show. So like, what else? So are we still on the cliffhanger here, or we're...
I'm just talking. I'm just saying. Like I don't think every show needs a cliffhanger, but maybe now it does because, like you
Well,
said,
if it's a
there's
thriller,
just
it
so
does. Like
Okay,
Promise
yeah, true.
Neverland does.
many. That was a good first episode.
And then it actually kind of slowed down a couple episodes in, but it's still good.
It was a good first episode because everything was really. It presented everything fine, but still in a very. You didn't feel right about it,
Yeah.
like at all. Like they showed little cuts of like their necks, You know, like, oh, like, look at, why do they have a barcode? Why are they all wearing the same colored clothing? Why are they all this way? It was something, there's something about it that you didn't feel right about. And then at the ending, it shows you why. And it's like, oh, shit. That show's a butt clencher. That's what Trevor calls it. It's just
A butt clencher.
It's like, I'm ready to clench my ass this week. Like, but, no, sorry. I was just bringing up cliffhangers because does every show need that? And I don't think it does. But maybe for the purposes of now, like you said, there's so many fucking shows out here. You know, everyone's trying to get coin and get bread, and it's like...
Yeah. Well, I mean,
don't know.
you don't need one if it's a comedy or slice of life. You don't need one. Romances don't necessarily need a cliffhanger, that type of thing. But if it's any kind of like super action thriller story,
feel like,
then
yeah,
it probably
I was
wants
gonna
one.
It needs to have like a little bit more dramatic. You know, I feel like
Stakes.
cliffhangers are really important in sports anime, for sure. You know.
Right, so...
He shoots the
so when
ball and it just freeze frames, goes to the ending song.
Is it gonna go in?
That's what she said.
So what I... So what I'm trying to say is, I'm not really sure you can answer this question. What makes a good first episode? Because, well, you can answer it. You're just going to have 15 different answers. Because I still feel like I didn't even answer it just now, like in the 50-some minutes we've been talking.
Good shit. That's what makes a good episode. Good staff.
Shit.
Good anime staff.
Yeah.
Just look at the staff list in the studio. All right.
I'm just going to cut out the last 52
It
minutes
has,
of this
yeah.
show. And then just have Nick going, good shit, that's what.
It has
And just
Naoko
end it.
Yamada. All right, I'm watching it.
I'm watching it real quick.
It has Masaki Iwasa. I'm fucking watching that.
So Nick,
Um,
it seems like Nick kind of tries to look for a little bit of everything.
I like shit that just makes me remember it. Like, look,
Yeah,
Technolize. I didn't mention that one yet. That's
Fuck
an
me up.
extreme example of a great first episode because there's almost no dialogue at all in 23 minutes. It's fucking amazing. If you don't, and I keep saying this, you don't have to watch the whole show, but everybody should at least watch that first episode. It's a very
What is
dark,
it? What is it?
depressing show.
Technolize.
Technolize. It's spelled TexhnolYze. It's about this like dystopian people living in a pit, and it's fucked up. So yeah, they get like special robot body parts and stuff. Yeah, great
Fuck me
first
up,
episode because that gives you exposition and character introductions with no dialogue, with nothing. It's just music
Yeah.
and sound and images and like fucking like crazy distorted shit. It's great. So
I've been brought into this world and I want to see more of it. Yeah, it's like big mood.
exactly. An episode with like a lot of dialogue on the other end. Tatami Galaxy, obviously, but Danny. That's Danny throwing herself off the ledge.
I'm finding myself in a noodle stand and the God of Love talks to me and I'm wondering why my pants are on too tight and I have a boner.
He's a man of ill portent. Whoa.
Yeah.
I think Shogun Rokurako Shinju had a lot of dialogue in the first episode. That was a two-parter. It was like a double-length episode.
Yeah.
Because the whole premise of that show is rakugo, which is like a form of Japanese storytelling comedy. They're sitting on a stage, like acting out every part, and that show is like basically it's like really masterfully done. So those are on the opposite ends, like the Technolize and the rakugo. And then obviously we already mentioned Kill la Kill as like an action, a good example of action. Another one is like Black Lagoon. You got Rock thrown into like this gang of misfits or thieves, smugglers. Fucking awesome.
Fucking awesome.
I'm just like listing shit now. I don't like this is another one. So as far as like slice of life, K-On! Is a really great example.
Mm-hmm.
Because you like meet all the characters and you see them like in the background too. Like I think you see Ritsu and Mio walking to school together. Like you're just following Yui, but you see the rest of her classmates as she's walking and all that. And like the way that they frame all the characters is like it lets you know who they are, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's also still a call to purpose there too, which is awesome.
They're trying to get their club together. So
and then to do that, they have to have this many people. It's just like, oh, Yui.
Yeah, you need 4 people.
You just gotta learn guitar, easy.
You need 4 people, and they have to have different colored hair. All right, they all have
And
different
pickled
personality.
eyebrows. And pickled eyebrows.
You need 1 order of pickled eyebrows. Another great one is this show has like K-On! At least has like some sort of main thrust, but Aria the animation and then all the sequels after it. That show is just like pure Yashike. There's like it's even more slice of life than a slice of life. So that first episode is like nothing happens really, but she meets like this little girl who she eventually keeps in contact with throughout the whole series through emails and stuff, and like they go through the city. They're rowing their gondolas and everything. It perfectly establishes like what that show is going to be, especially like any scene with like Alicia in that show is like that's Akari's teacher. She kind of like helps, show the themes of the show. And it's like it's kind of a touching first episode too. Like it made me tear up again when I rewatched it. So yeah, like there's a ton of examples that we've already mentioned.
So we all kind of went around and talked about what we liked. I think we all kind of like different things.
We never mentioned
but
Fooly Cooley,
similar.
but that's a great one.
Fooly Cooley is a great one.
We
That was a really good one.
didn't mention a lot. I mean,
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff.
let's be honest. Like there are a lot of great first episodes.
Well, I
There's
think the
just
point
so
of this
many.
episode was just to try and answer the question and not I wasn't
Yeah,
trying to list
yeah.
a bunch of but no, yeah, Fooly Cooley is another example of like where it's like the whole package.
Everything.
It's got the
perfect.
characters, it's got the scenery, and it's got there's not really a call to purpose, but there is without saying it, which is another great example of like show don't tell kind of thing. But I think the answer really, like, as vague as it is just like that depends. Because like if I turn on what I know to be a slice of life, I'm gonna look for different things. If I turn on what I know to be romance, I'm gonna look for different things.
You're gonna look for something else, and then if you're watching a shonen, you're gonna look for these key points.
I'm gonna look for the call to arms in most shonen for me.
God damn it,
because I know
so many calls to arms.
the call to legs. I'm looking for the call to legs.
Call to
this time.
thighs. Call to the ZR.
I'm just looking
Because-
for hot guys. That's all
because
I'm
that's
looking
my-
for.
Exactly. Fucking damn.
Because the call to arms and the call
every
to
girl's
purpose,
the
like
same.
the call to arms and call to purpose,
watch
like I
Black
said
Butler.
at the beginning of the episode, at the beginning of this recording, is that's what's most important to me. Is what I'm saying. For me personally, for you, it could be, big thigh bitches. I don't know.
Titties.
For Danny, it's big thigh dudes.
High School of the Dead. High School DxD.
High school DxD.
That's what I'm talking about. Fucking prison school.
Ugh.
Anything with the word
So-
school in the title. Killing Bites.
I don't know. Do you got any final things you want to say? Any other things that you look for or that you think? What is something that you and Danny think that people should look for that you don't think people normally do? That's a good ending. That's a good way to end it right there.
Oh.
That's a
wow.
big question.
That's
You should answer it first.
I don't even know how to answer that.
Okay, I'll answer it first. I don't fucking know. But like, no, I'm just kidding. No. I think a lot of people forget to look for what Nick said earlier, which was like, because like when I asked him about exposition earlier, I was thinking a lot of talking, a lot of showing this and that at just the same angle or different angles. But really, exposition can be done with scenery and the backgrounds and really good cinematography. Also, and I think I'm gonna try, for me personally, and I would suggest that to y'all's, is to look for that too. Look for how the background and the world that are immersing you and makes you feel. Because that might be a big... Nagi no Asakura is another great example of that, actually, now that I think about it. The backgrounds in that show and the world they immersed you in the first episode was really great. That is actually a great example of the environment and the backgrounds in the world and the scenery having great exposition to get me to keep watching also.
I don't know. Mario Kata. That's iffy.
Oh, God.
If you like Mario Kata, then watch it.
Magical
But,
Girl Site too.
Oh yeah, we really should have put that in our top 10. We keep talking about it.
Magical Girl Site. You and Danny.
That's the
are
honorary
shit.
top 10 of the season. Fuck Violet Evergarden.
I think I think Magical Girl Site is pretty much the only show that Nick and I agree on.
yeah,
No,
Willingly.
probably something else. Actually, that's a good point. Like, what do we both like?
Yeah, what do we?
You like
let's
Attack
do,
on
dude.
Titan,
Let's do a whole
Danny?
episode on that. Can we do a whole episode on that? Let's do a whole episode.
Wow,
Let's
Danny
do
doesn't
it.
like anything except sports. and
Hashtag
yaoi.
planning on the podcast.
Plan-
Anyway, take a shot.
Golden
But-
Boy. No, we both like Golden Boy and
Oh
Asobi.
yeah, that's
Asobi,
true.
Ace of
That's
Base.
true. We both like Golden Boy
Ace of Base.
and Ace of Base.
And
And
Kill a
Ace of
Kill
Base.
dubbed, but only dubbed.
But only dubbed.
I know one show we don't agree on.
There's a lot of shows like that.
Don't
but-
bring
Well,
those up right now.
No, Revolutionary Girl Utena dub.
Oh, the dub is terrible in that show. My God.
I love that one. It's
Oh.
because Misty, the girl who plays Misty, plays Utena.
Didn't like Central Park Media do that or something? God damn.
I don't
that was a bad
remember.
dub.
I
Holy
don't know.
shit. By the way, Kill a Kill school is paying homage to Utena's school.
Yes.
Fun little
I actually
tidbit
wrote
there.
that in my notes that it's the
same-
the
same
challenges and how the ranks of council reminds me of what happens in Utena and the battles and stuff.
All right. Thanks for answering my question, guys. Anyway,
What was the question? I don't even remember your question.
what would you recommend to people to look for in a first step?
Oh. What
think
shows
they
have
normally
the
don't
best
look for?
staff and studio?
Oh,
We didn't-
actually, yeah. No,
we
people
didn't
don't
really
look at
cover
stuff.
that, but like for anime specifically. But like if we're not talking about that, that's kind of cheating. But like if you're just watching
We
something,
kind of talked about it.
if you're just
We
watching,
kinda-
if someone puts something on in front of you, you don't know who made it. Unless it's got like little wibbly wobbly characters, then it's Masaki Uasa. But anyway,
There's Masaki
then you
Uasa.
know who made it.
Trigger
There's-
is very distinctive with
Yeah.
their characters.
But let's say you showed somebody something new. Like what do you think would make them like it if they don't even know anything about it? Again, I think I'm gonna go with like pacing. It's gotta be well paced. It's gotta have a good hook. It's gotta have good characters, and it's gotta look fucking pretty cool. It's gotta have gotta have a little bit of everything.
I think a lot
Um,
of people do look
yeah.
at pacing, but don't know they're looking for it. So I wonder.
Well,
like,
yeah, that's fine, but you don't have to be able to say it as long as you know, as long as you can see it.
Okay, then why are you mad?
Calmer than you are, dude.
Calmer than you are. Danny, you got any suggestions for the bitches out there? I just called all of our listeners bitches. Y'all are bitches. Anyway, go ahead.
Let's see. I mean, it's pretty much the same with the both of you. I mean, actually, music.
That
I
you
feel
think
like
that people don't normally look for.
I feel like the music is pretty important. You know, we didn't really talk about too much.
That's a good
on-
one. Yeah, the opening and
on
ending
the
songs.
music, yeah.
Oh
We
yeah.
kind of missed that shit.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Damn.
fuck it. If it has like Attack on Titan level, if it's like Death Parade with that OP, the problem though is like they don't play the opening song in a lot of
Yeah,
first
that's a-
episodes.
That's probably why we also missed it, because like SAO plays the opening at the end of the first step.
Yeah, so like either they don't play it at all, or they'll play it at the end or whatever. But a lot of most old shows have it like right at the beginning. Like
Most old
Hakusho.
shows do it at the beginning. Still.
Well,
I think it
that's
started
not
in like the
necessarily
2000s
true.
where they do the cold open. But
Well,
yeah.
I mean, not for example, Nana. In the beginning, you know, they first have an image of the apartment, and you hear Hachi talking about how she met Nana O and how they became roommates and stuff, and then slowly you hear the opening song.
oh, it's like organically in the show.
Yes, yeah.
Arya does the
Nana-
same thing. Arya
Nana
does the same
does
thing.
that a lot. They do that for their beginning episodes, the beginning of their episodes, and they also do it at the end of the episode as well.
Do the
ending.
characters ever like hum the songs?
Well,
like in
the
Evangelion?
funny thing, no, actually, the opening theme for Nana is actually a single for Nana's band. So, and she
Oh, that makes
sings it
sense.
during the show.
I think Beck is the show Beck Mongolian
Beck is
Chop Squad
similar.
does that.
Yeah.
Or like
yeah.
the characters are singing it.
Mhm.
Speaking of shows that certain host needs to watch, Sam.
Oh, Beck. Yeah. Sam, you should watch Beck.
Sam, that's like immediately going on your 3x3. So's Hunter x Hunter.
The
so's
two
Death
of you need to
Parade.
watch Nana as well.
Probably that.
I thought no, I haven't seen Nana. Never mind.
We gotta be
You guys
careful
need to
though. Like we can't let
watch
Sam
it.
watch Hunter x Hunter if we want anything to get done.
I
This
know, like,
podcast
that's why
will
I'm
go
stuck.
on hiatus if that happens.
After this next decade one we do. I might
you
start
should
it,
just
so-
start it. Fuck it. Just go. Do you have any vacation? Just like, all right, I'm taking a week off. Nobody
I know,
talk to me.
one of these episodes in the next couple of months, I might take a week off.
No,
just
like
'cause
guaranteed, you will get sucked into that show.
I have not had a week off from the podcast for a while, so. Well, not since the holidays, but yeah, like just me by myself. I mean, but
We're gonna
anyway,
force Sam. to
I'll tell
take
you
rest.
I'll tell you what. I think we did a good job trying to figure out what the answer was, and I think we just came up with a bunch of different little answers, and that's okay with me, because the point of this podcast is to talk about waifus, big titties, and husbandos, and that's what we did. Kind of. Because your girl is into the butts. We didn't talk about big booties though, so that we kind of
Thank
failed.
God.
Never
Yeah.
mind.
They don't
0 out of 10
They
episode.
don't animate butts very well in anime a lot of times. Like the
lot of
JoJo
time-
females
yeah.
have some good butts, but you know, a lot
Why
of
do
times they're
okay?
flat.
That's what our next topic is gonna be.
How hard is it to
Why-
animate that? Come on, just draw circles.
Why do they leave all the big booty stuff to just hentai? Why can't we have big booty
Dude,
stuff?
and
in
half the
regular
time
anime?
in hentai, it's like this distorted Cupid looking shit. It's like what? Nobody's anatomy looks like that. Sometimes it's like their leg is crooked. Come on,
God.
do you look at it after you draw it? Jesus.
Probably not.
Anyway, let us know on Discord or Twitter or Instagram what you look for in a first episode. Also, let me know why anime doesn't do enough big booty stuff, except
Look.
for Keijo. Shout out to Keijo.
Oh,
for doing
Keijo
the
is
big
phenomenal.
booty.
Yeah, that's a good
Keijo's great.
example. Look, all I gotta say is if you don't got a butt, you ain't getting no nut. That's what I'm saying.
On that bombshell,
Also,
I've been Sam.
wait,
Oh,
wait,
damn
wait,
it.
wait.
No
Damn it.
boobs.
I got a quick
No.
shout out. I just want to have a quick shout out to my friend Vince for allowing me to be a guest on his stream last night on Vindicate Entertainment. We played an awesome game of Pokemon Battle Royale. So, thank you, Vince.
Remember that one time you did the shout out at the end of the episode and we told you got to do it?
Oh, well.
You're fired and rehired.
Well, you gotta do it earlier or something. Yeah, you fucked up.
I was
we were
watching
going out
that
on a high
stream.
note, Danny.
I was watching that stream.
No,
I
it's
know
okay.
you were.
And it was pretty fun. I liked those guys.
I
Shout out
came
to
in.
Vince.
I came in third,
Nice.
so
Shout out to Vindicated Entertainment. I gave you guys a follow. On that bombshell, I've been Sam, Too Slick Nick, Danny with the Fanny, and we've been the Anime Summit Podcast.
woo woo.
Oh, you know what's a great first episode? Catch It One.
Check it one.
It's only one episode.
Great last episode too. I've heard.